to our interview series with WellNest. Welcome to our interview series with WellNest Global and international holistic experts, Consilience, Exploring New Ways of Thriving. You can find this series on our YouTube channel at WellNest Global. I'm Valarie Angle Roberts, your hostess today, and our intention is to bring you tools, wisdom, resources, and most importantly, wonderful people to assist you on your journey of thriving in this life. So today, I'm super excited to welcome the founder of Recreo Wellness Coaching, online courses, workshops, and co-host of the Let's Relieve Regret podcast. Welcome, Victoria Muir-Burcea. Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to connect. Good to see you here in person live today. And I just want to dive right in and talk a little bit about, tell us your journey, who you are, and why you do what you do.
Sure. So I used to work in corporate. So I did the 9 to 5 thing. I did the 9 to 5, but it was actually the 9 to 9, pretending it was the 9 to 5 thing for about 20 years. And that was, I left that about 9 years ago. So what essentially happened is I had a burnout. So I started feeling pressure. I was overachieving at my job. I was firing on all pistons. And I started not feeling so great about myself, but I didn't really understand what was going on. And I became afraid to talk about it. I thought, you know what, I have this persona to keep up. I'm rising up through the ranks in my job. And, I bought a house, I'm married, my life looks perfect on the outside, but I was really struggling with imposter syndrome and self-confidence in the inside and extreme fatigue and extreme exhaustion. And I was afraid to talk about it because I was afraid of being judged as being seen as weak. And that's also part of being a woman, I think, too, right? Like we feel sometimes we have to hold up these standards. And then my brain started spiraling. Well, what if I got fired if I admit that I need help? And what if, right? All these sorts of things. And I was really struggling. And I pushed it down. And eventually I had a total burnout. And I was paralyzed for 8 hours. One day. I had taken a week off work and I knew I had to return to work on the Monday. And I remember calling my husband and saying, I don't feel very well. And he said, you're fine. Because my answer to everything was like, I'm fine. Everything's fine, right? Push it all down and pretend everything's fine. And I said, I need you to come home. And he came home at the end of his work day. And I don't even know where those 8 hours went. I was just frozen on my basement floor. So my body ended up giving out on me too. And that was my sign to leave. That was my sign to leave. And I had been doing work. I was a caseworker and I was a supervisor of citywide projects in the city of Toronto for the entire city of Toronto that had to do with wellness. So I was a wellness expert, but I couldn't be well myself. Right. And so that was my sign to leave. And I knew that I wanted to continue this type of work, but I knew that I had to heal myself first. So I healed myself first. I went to healthcare professionals and I had a life coach and I had a trainer, and I'm also a trainer and a life coach and a nutrition and wellness specialist. And I have a health degree and all these things. Right. And I really zoned in, and I took about 2 years to heal myself. And that's when I knew I wanted to start my Recreo. And Recreo is the Latin word for regenerate and restart and reset. And that's why that's the name of my business. And I knew that I wanted to continue to work with women who were struggling in the way that I was struggling, but also to help them, exactly what you said, thrive, right? Thrive. And what I also knew was I wanted to give really realistic strategies and also give the why behind the strategies, or the science behind the strategies, or the reasons behind the strategies, because that's what really helped with me. There's nothing worse when you're anxious or worried or overwhelmed and someone says to you, take 5 deep breaths, or someone says to you, calm down. What's your reaction? I'm taking I took 5 deep breaths, nothing happened. Or like, don't tell me to calm down, right? So like explaining how to actually breathe, or what are these tools that we can actually use, and that are small and slow solutions, or really simple and easily done, because there's a lot of stuff that we can do, but kind of the first two pieces of advice we mostly get is take 5 deep breaths. And when you're already in that state, you're like, this isn't working for me. Or how about this one? Have a bath or go get a massage. Right? Like those are the things. If you think of anything else, add them in here, right? Like those are the things. And so that's how I started my business. I wanted to give really realistic strategies and work with the wellness wheel, right? So the wellness wheel says that we have many, many different aspects of health: social, intellectual, physical, financial, emotional. Our relationship with the environment and nature is on the wellness wheel. And so all of the programming that I offer at my Recreo is in the wellness wheel. And I offer brain fitness classes, fitness in 15 classes, so 15-minute fitness classes, strength classes, and a nature club once a month, and they're all live on Zoom. And on top of that, I have courses and one-on-one work. But my most popular class, which I'd like to talk about today, is my letting go of worry and just general letting go. It's a mindfulness, visualization, and meditation class. And that was the most impactful thing for me on my journey. And it's been the most impactful thing for my class participants as well. It's really been amazing to watch them go through this process as well, and how important letting go is. Yeah. And it's one of the first steps that we miss, is the letting go step on our healing journey. Did you have a question? I talk a lot.
No, I mean, as long as you're in your zone, just keep on letting us know about it. But I mean, I can affirm you. I'm over here saying preach all along while you're talking, because I can resonate with everything that you said. You know, I've been down that path, and I think so many women have, if not all women, at some point in time, either in their career or the overwhelm of home life, trying to juggle all the balls, parents aging out and passing on, becoming caregivers, all of those parts of life can bring us to this point that you're talking about, the burnout, the grief, and then the fear of being open about it because we don't want to look weak. And what I observe more than anything, which is probably a reflection back to me of my own fears, is that people are so worried about being outcast, being judged and pushed away for admitting this state of being, which is completely natural phase of our growth. And, you know, I would love to see a time when we're no longer shameful about admitting when we get there. Very few people will not get there. Even I have a friend who's single, never been married, never had kids, but things happened in her life, brought her to the same place. It's just part of our evolution to work through. So yeah, I'm just here cheering you on and like, yes, as you're talking. So yeah, letting go and detachment, that's, you know, letting it not be part of who we are. So talk to us a little bit about that process and how that looks for your clients.
Yeah. So when I first learned about letting go, it really was an aha moment or breakthrough moment for me, because often what we do when we're feeling overwhelmed or burnt out or firing on all pistons or excited or busy, right? Like, why is it cool to be busy, right? That's the answer. When people ask you how you are, there's two answers that are socially acceptable: fine. And first of all, let me tell you, nobody's fine. Fine is a lie, right? Or busy, right? And it's like there's this social acceptance that it's cool to be busy, but really deep down inside, or maybe right on the surface level, those answers are, that's not really what we're feeling, right? And so often what we do when we are in that place in these states is we will try to cover it up. So with some sort of programming, and the biggest keys are, or the biggest ones that we kind of go to is working out. And it could also be nutrition. Like, how do I make myself feel better? So we often go to like a diet or working out. The thing is when we go to the diet or the working out, we're not actually letting go and releasing what the underlying issue is or belief is. We're just covering it up. And that might feel really great for a year or 2 years or 6 months, but we're still pushing down what we need to release. And that's the bigger things, but even the smaller day-to-day things, if we push things down, our brain, our body, our mind, our spirit will always find a way to release it. And it's called discharging. So tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Okay, road rage is a form of discharging, right? So when you're yelling at the other driver, it's not really about the other driver, right? It's about something else. But here's some other forms of discharging if we don't learn how to have a practice in releasing or letting go. You yell at the cashier at the grocery store, and then you walk away and you feel guilty. Maybe you yell at a friend or a family member or a child in your life. You walk away feeling guilty. But discharging can also come out physically in different ways. Maybe you're out of balance physically. Maybe you keep walking into the coffee table and hitting your knee, or walking into the door frame all day and hitting your shoulder, or you trip on a crack on the sidewalk, like you trip on nothing, or you trip up the stairs, or you break a dish. And then you're like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I break that dish, right? Or you cry uncontrollably at a television commercial, right? So these are forms of discharging too. So no matter what we do, our body and our brain and our mind will find a way to release what it needs to release. So if we can have a practice of letting go in different forms, I call them like rituals or routines of letting go, then we can discharge less. And then we can feel guilty less. And then we can judge ourselves less. And then we can understand ourselves more. So really on that path of healing or recovery, or even just on the path of life, right? As life skills, we want to learn to recognize what's going on with ourselves, release what's going on with ourselves, and then we get to the reprogram, right? Often we go right to the reprogram. I'm not going to recognize what's wrong with me. I'm not going to figure out what's going on deep down inside. I'm not going to release it, but I am going to start working out and I am going to start dieting, right? So I'm going to change my schedule or change the way I program myself without actually understanding what's going on underneath. So the first step and the most important step, in my humble opinion, is that releasing and is that letting go. And I learned so many strategies on how to do that. There's little things you can do throughout the day, and there's bigger things. And so let me talk about my letting go class that I run every Friday, the end of the week, live on Zoom after work. So it's at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, all of my classes are recorded. So if you can't come to the live class, you can come to the replay. You can watch the recording. This is what we do. We have a chat for about 20 minutes on the call. It's all women. We have a chat, and it could be about something like, I run a theme chat. It could be something about shame. Now, you already said shame today, right? We feel shame. So what's the difference between shame and guilt, right? Guilt is, I did a bad thing. Shame is, I am a bad thing, right? This is from Brene Brown's research. We love Brene Brown, right? We're not supposed to feel shame. Shame is something that we've invented. But guilt, we are supposed to feel. Guilt is programmed into us. Why? Because we can learn from guilt. Guilt is a learning opportunity. Shame is something that we've invented. It's something that we do to each other. It's something that we do to ourselves through judgment, right? We're supposed to feel all the emotions. We're supposed to feel the heavy emotions and the light emotions as part of our human experience, because that's how we learn and we grow, except for shame. Except for shame, okay? Because you can't learn from continually telling yourself, I'm a bad person, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough, right? So letting...
I think it's a powerful statement. You've got to be really mindful how you use that.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly, right? And so we will get together and we'll have a chat for 20 minutes about something like that. We'll talk about game or shield, or we'll talk about control, or we'll talk about what is toxic positivity versus moving through emotions versus suppressing emotions. So we'll have some kind of chat, and then we'll go through the letting go visualization. Have you ever heard of the cord cutting meditation before? So the cord cutting,
Yeah, yes,
yeah.
yeah, but talk to us about that because I think there's a lot of people who haven't.
It's amazing. And there's many, many variations. So each week I do a different variation. So if you hear the word mindfulness or meditation, you think, yeah, I don't want to go there. I don't know how to do that. That's scary. I have to listen to my inner monologue. I don't want to listen to myself. I don't know. Or I can't sit and be silent for 45 minutes straight. That's not what this is. Right? If you can visualize the things that you need to let go of as objects, and imagine I'm really simplifying it, and then I'm going to explain. And then you have a cord attaching you to those objects and you visualize cutting the cord. You're training your brain to let go. And here's the really interesting thing about that. The way that I run my meditations or visualizations, the subconscious brain speaks in imagination. That's how the subconscious brain thinks. And no matter what we want to think, the subconscious brain is in control of us 95% of the time. Everything that we're doing, actions, attitudes, behaviors, moods, everything, the subconscious brain is in the driver's seat. And it's frustrating, right? But we need to learn how to talk to our subconscious brain in the language that it talks in. And it talks in imagination. That's what dreaming is. Think about how crazy your dreams are. You wake up and you're like, that was really weird. Why was there a baby in my dream? Or like, that was really weird, right? That's the subconscious brain processing. So if we can speak to the subconscious brain in its language, we can start to plant seeds, and then it will start to reprogram, and it will start to easily and naturally change the way it guides our actions, attitudes, behaviors, and moods. And one of the biggest things is letting go. And studies also show us that when we visualize things, the brain thinks it's real. So for example, athletes, they visualize their races. They visualize their competitions, right? And the brain actually thinks that's practice. So there was a study done. They just took everyday human beings, and for 2 weeks, they had one set of human beings perform squats every day. And then they had the other set imagine they were performing squats every day. Guess what happened? They both had the same amount of strength increase.
Wow.
That's how powerful visualization is. And so when we do a letting go visualization, it's designed specifically to be dreamlike. And then we cut a cord, or sometimes the visualization is you're in a library and you have a book and then you put the book away and you close the book, or you're on a beach and we write down what we want to let go of and we throw it into the water. And the thing is, the brain thinks it's real. So that is like a longer form of letting go, and it's a practice. Like the brain needs, I call it CPR for the brain, consistent, persistent repetition. So we need to practice things consistently, persistently, and repetitively in order to reprogram our brain, in order to make those changes. However, you can also have a great aha moment in one 20-minute or half an hour guided meditation as well, right? So believing in the power of small and slow solutions, but also believing in the power of an aha moment when it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we connect with that subconscious, really powerful things can happen. We can learn a lot about ourselves or our path or journey in that time. Really powerful time and way to spend our day that, many of us are not disciplined to stick to. So having someone like you who's willing to, hold our hand and guide us into this practice. And then I suspect what happens is your clients begin employing these skills and strategies in their in between time when they're not with you.
It's really again, one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I had a really rewarding job before my burnout as a caseworker, and I worked with at need families. And uh, it this might sound weird to say, but it never doesn't work. Like, everybody that's consistently come to letting go class, the stories that I hear are just incredible. And the changes that I see in them, and the same with my one-on-one clients. So what I do with my one-on-one clients is letting go as part of the process, but then rewriting the script as part of the process. And we actually write an inner monologue script for you to listen to every day. And I record it as a meditation in a language that your brain understands as well. And then magic happens. Right? Then all of a sudden that subconscious brain that still is in control 95% of the time, it's still in control, but you're planting the seeds into it, and you're talking to it, and you're telling it how you want it to control you, if that makes sense, right? But again, you can't do that if you don't practice letting go first. The other thing that's really important to the letting go process or to understanding is, we talk about the law of attraction a lot, right? We know what the law of attraction is. Like attracts like, right? Or like energies, I call it the law of vibration, because the same energies attract the same energies, right? So I don't like to call emotions positive or negative. I like to call them heavy or light. And that's actually what they show up as on a brain scan. So the what we would call negative emotions, they're actually heavier brain waves. They're bigger, they're heavier. And then like our positive emotions or lighter emotions are lighter, smaller brain waves. And I like putting it that way, because when we label things as positive or negative, we suppress the negative. We think the negative is bad, and we push it down and we push it away. Then we get into this whole cycle again. I'm pushing it down, I'm discharging, I'm not letting it go, right? Right? These sort of things. So there's the law of vibration. There's also the law of the vacuum. Have you heard of the law of the vacuum? So
No.
yeah. So there's 3 laws that go together. We talk about the law of attraction all the time, but it's also similar to this idea of like masking things or doing a new program or a new diet or a new physical activity program without the release. We have to clear space, we have to release, and we have to take action, right? So and the law of attraction moves in there, because we have to clear the space first in order to let the law of attraction work. So the law of the vacuum says, and this again is another like quantum physics law, is when you create space, something will come in and fill it. So when you clean out the junk drawer in your kitchen, if you don't choose what to put in the junk drawer and organize the junk drawer, what happens a month later? It's a junk drawer again.
A little more junk. Yeah.
Right? When you clear off the shelf in your office, what happens a month later if you don't choose how to organize that shelf? There's stuff all over the shelf again, right? So it works physically, and it also works like metaphysically, right? Is when we clear space in our brain, when we are like pruning the neurological pathways, every thought we have is a nerve. Every thought we have is a neurological pathway. Everything. It's all real. It's all tangible. It's all inside our brain, right? When we are letting go, we are clearing the pathways. If we don't choose the new way that we want to think, the pathway is either going to repair itself to what it was before, or something else is going to come in that's beyond our control. So the law of the vacuum says, when you create space, something will come in to fill it. The law of action says, I'm going to take action and choose. And so with a lot of these things, do you remember the book, The Secret?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Okay. So I might be a little controversial here. I'm not a fan, because The Secret didn't talk about the law of action or the law of the vacuum. It only talked about the law of attraction. But the law of attraction doesn't work if we're just using it to cover. Right? So if I make a vision board and then I put that vision board away and I forget about it, and then I hope that I'm going to have $1 million house next year without clearing space and then filling the space, taking action and filling the space with the actions that I need to do, that vision board isn't going to come true. Right? And letting go is a very, very important part of that process, because my energy pie is only this big. I need to release something out of it to put something else back in, right? I need to clear space so that I can choose what I bring into my energy pie as well. Some people's energy pies are this big, some are this big. Everybody's different, but we all have a certain amount of space, and we need to be consistently clearing and letting go, or else all those things that we're suppressing, all those things that we're pushing down are going to take up the entire space. So letting go is key.
Yeah. We were talking before we came on live about being women, basically,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that experience and people we know and things like that. And that moment, that kind of aha moment when you're like, you know what, I'm going to do something differently or whatnot, because so often that subconscious mind has been driving our vehicle kind of chaotically.
Yeah.
And so the law of attraction might be working for you in a way that you don't understand at all, because it's just a chaos. You're drawing in chaos because that's how you've let your subconscious mind operate, with no input from you, no planting the seeds, like you said, right? Yeah. So yeah, I love that so much. Really good description of what you do. And so how would somebody work with you if somebody's watching and they're like, oh, I love this lady, Victoria, she's amazing. I want to be a part of this. I got to get on that Friday Zoom. So how can they, and we will be sure, if you're listening to this while you're driving or something, don't worry, we'll put everything in the description in the video on YouTube so you can go back to it. But how would they get in touch with you, and how can they work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So myrecreo.health is my website. So it's www. Do we still say www? It's www.myrecreo, myrecreo.health. There's no .com, .org, it's .health. I know it gets confusing, but it's a new domain, everybody. We're trying to grow the .health domain. So it's myrecreo.health. If you go on there, we have a membership. And all the classes are included in the membership, but you can also trial the classes for free for 2 weeks. And that class runs on Fridays at 6. On Mondays, I run brain fitness class, and these are specific small, gentle movement or thought exercises, or writing on pen and paper exercises that have been designed by neuroscientists and neuropsychologists to reduce brain fog, increase energy, increase cognitive reserve, reduce worry, anxiety. It's really fun, really amazing. We also have a chat group on Monday nights. And then we have 3 fitness classes. We have the letting go of worry meditation and other classes and special workshops involved in that membership. It's only $47 Canadian a month. Canadian, right? But again, you can try it for free for 2 weeks. And you can also join my Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group, and I go live in there every Monday. And we have chats and theme discussions, and a different theme each Monday for half an hour. And that Facebook group is the Worry Free and Joyful Living Facebook group. So you can just Google that on Facebook, but I'll give you the link for that as well. And you know what else I'll do? If you want to try a letting go class just specifically, I will give you a link to try a letting go class specifically that will get you into that letting go class with all the information for that as well.
Really cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. We will, like I said, we'll make sure we have all that in our description so everyone can find those resources and come take part. Thank you so much for what you contribute. You know, your story of how you came into this is so, what's the word I'm looking for?
Relatable?
Relatable. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, people can really resonate with that. Yeah, relatable is the perfect word. Thank you. Totally. So hopefully those of you who are listening feel not so alone or isolated now that you've kind of heard that this is part of the process of growth, and that you have these resources to help you through it, that you don't have to do it alone, and that you can learn strategies, to help you grow in mind, body, spirit, holistically. and move forward. Do you have any final advice that you'd like to give to our listeners, or anything that you wanted to add before we wrap up today, Victoria?
Yeah, you know what? I want to leave you with the if you're listening to this and you're really nodding your head and you're having an aha moment, I want to give you one simple strategy to help, because letting go class is amazing. There's also simple things you can do during your day as well. One of them is, at the end of the day, say to yourself, I've done everything I can do today, and that's okay. And again, consistent, persistent repetition, right? It's a practice in forgiveness of yourself. It's also a practice of letting go of the to-do list, letting go of the guilt, letting go of the judgment of yourself. And the thing is, our inner monologue, that's our subconscious brain talking to us. And there's more than one inner monologue. It's totally normal, everybody, to have more than one voice in your head. You're totally normal. Okay? So like, your inner monologue comes out and it goes, I'm not strong enough to do this. And you go, yes, you can. Or maybe it's the opposite, right? You're trying an affirmation to say to yourself, I'm strong, I'm strong. And then your inner monologue's fighting back going, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, right? Those inner monologues are our subconscious brain talking to us. And when we're intentional and we talk back to it, that's telephoning the subconscious brain back, and it's listening. So at the end of the day, I've done everything that I can do today, and that's okay. Another strategy that I really like is shrugging your shoulders up and down and just saying to yourself, release, 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 release. And it will force you to take a breath, and then you'll take a breath. The only thing that matters is my breath, and I've done everything I can do today, and that's okay. And if you listen to my podcast, which is the Let's Relieve Regret podcast, at the end of every podcast, I do 3 breaths, and I take you kind of through that process in a more in-depth way of the 3 breaths of letting go, of releasing and letting go. So I hope that you try those and use those, and that they're helpful for you out there, watchers and listeners, because even small and slow solutions that are easily and naturally done make a huge impact. And sometimes deep work doesn't have to be hard work or scary work. Sometimes it can actually be easy and fun.
Love that. I love that, because it can be intimidating. People are like, I don't want to go down that path, that hard, scary, dark, shadowy, in-depth path that I've heard about. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Cool. So many good resources. So yeah, definitely check out the podcast and go into the description and look at the resources, sign up for the membership, check all of that out. Thank you so much, Victoria, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm honored to be connected with you now. I feel much more grounded in that connection. And as we can move forward and share these resources with the world, super exciting to know that people can find some healing and growth here through this. So, hey, everyone, be sure you check out the links and resources in the description. Get to know Victoria a little bit more that way. Join our Facebook group, check out our podcast. Thank you for spending some time with us today and being open to serving yourself to move forward and grow and thrive. And we invite you back here next time at WellNest Global for Consilience. And we hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.